Hi, everyone. This is Pete with Upstate Nation Baseball, helping to promote baseball in upstate New York by covering interesting and informative baseball stories. You can follow me on the Facebook page, Upstate Nation Baseball, on X and YouTube at Upstate Nation NY. Thank you to those who have reached out with comments and suggestions. And if anyone else wants to reach out, please do. I would love to incorporate them in future shows. Welcome to episode number 2. I sat down with LeMoyne College head baseball coach Scott Cassidy, and we talked about the team's first win back in Division One since 2011, the upcoming 2024 season, and also interesting stories from his Major League Baseball career. Hope you enjoy. Thank you. Awesome. Scott, thanks for joining me. Pete with Upstate Nation Baseball.
Nice to have you. Nice to be on there joining with you. It's been a while since we've sat down and talked at length, other than a couple minutes that we saw each other a few weeks ago.
I know it. Yeah, good event up there on the Heights with JoJo and Roberto Clemente Jr. That's awesome to see.
Yeah, that was a good time.
Yeah, so congrats on the first win of the season. That's got to feel good to get that first win back in D1 since 2011 over the weekend.
Yeah, it was a good weekend for us. We made the trip down to Houston. Had some close ball games. We were in every game. We actually only ended up winning one of the 4, but all one-run games, chance to win every one of them. Guys showed a lot of fight, so it was exciting to get back to it.
Yeah, I saw that, and you outscored them too. So it's a lot of, probably a lot of positives. But what do you see specifically on the positive side, and what do you think you can focus on going forward here to improve?
Yeah, there were a lot of positives, actually. Our pitching staff right now is pretty banged up. So we went down there. We got 5 guys that are not pitching actively, and quite significant guys that were going to do a lot for us. So while we wait for them to mend up, which could be a couple more weeks, we went down there very short-staffed, and basically we're relying on our starters to give us some length, and they did. The starters were outstanding. Every one of them gave us, 6. I think 3 of us gave us 6 innings. 1 gave us 4. Probably could have gone another if I let them in there. Kept the offense for Houston Christian at bay. Gave us a chance to win. Our relievers, although we only had really 4 of them that were active, we went down there with basically 8 active pitchers, and they gave us some length as well. And we were in every game, and the first game we were actually in a chance to win. We were up 1 going into the last inning. We were up 3 going in the last inning, the second game, and actually had some unfortunate circumstances come up and had to go extra innings, and we put up a 7th spot in the 10th. Third game, again, we're in it towards the end of the game. It's 0-0 going into the last inning, another great pitching performance. And then the last game, we actually probably showed me more than the rest of them. We were actually down. We were down 6-0 in a 7-inning game going into the 6th. And we had no hits at the time. We were getting no hit. We got on base a ton. I think we ended up with 10 walks in the game, but we just couldn't push any runs across. And then, they showed some fight at the end. We scored 4 in the 6th. We scored 2 in the 7th with a chance to take the lead. And then unfortunately we lost it in the last inning again. So the positives are that the team is in it. They know what to do. We got to work on a couple things. It was our first time outside, so we got a lot to work on as far as like the little things, the little small ball to win games and stuff like that. But it was good to see the guys, get out early, ready to play, making plays defensively. Pitching was ahead of our hitters, I think, a little bit this weekend, but our hitters showed some guts and they grinded out some at bats. They were tough outs. One of the things that I thought was really cool, the opposing manager coach was Lance Berkman. I don't know.
No kidding. Yeah.
Really, really good big league career and hitter.
Yeah.
And at the end of the first couple of games, he actually said to me, your guys grind out at bats. They're tough outs. That's awesome to see. And coming from a guy like that who made a living like he did, we're doing something right. So it was a good weekend overall.
Yeah, awesome. And the classic Northeast team going south, first games of the year where, like you said, these teams have been outside already. How do you manage the expectations going in to that, let alone, going south? You're going from Syracuse all the way to Houston for that, the travel element too.
Yeah, it's tough because you want to go win. You want to win every game
Right.
you play. It's funny. The first game we went errorless. We didn't score. We didn't have an error, and up until the last out of the second game, we didn't have an error. So we were just playing really crisp baseball, and that's the one thing that I think might come later. Like you might have some, first time outside and catch a bad hop or something, but we were playing really good fundamentally. So the expectation for us, we're back at D1. We want to compete in every game. We did that. Um, I think we're good enough to beat these teams. I do, and that's what our expectation is, to go win every game we play. And at the very least, we want to compete, and that's just kind of set the baseline for us going forward, and improve every year till we're able to play in the NCAA tournament in a few years, and hopefully we're ready to compete for that.
Yeah, awesome. So July 1, the school across all sports made the move D2 to D1 for baseball, obviously back to D1 since 2011. What was your first message to the team when you got together in early fall in the first semester to them about it? Did you give them like the Gene Hackman Hoosiers speech and measuring the rim, it's the same game, that type of thing?
Not, surprisingly, not really, because we were still playing last year when it was announced. We were getting ready. We were practicing to go to the regionals, and it was a big moment for us. We actually won the regional and went to the super. I think the biggest thing for us, when we really in the summertime leading up into the fall, was to try to. Some guys came here as a Division II school and they want to compete for a national championship. That was the goal. We have a really good team. We were a super regional team last year. We returned almost everybody. We had a couple really good additions. So in our minds, if we were still D2, we think we're back to a super regional, maybe a World Series type of team. So now you take that and you take that away from them, and you can't play in the NCAA tournament for a few years while you wait for the NCAA ruling stuff. And that's kind of a big blow to the guys, So the message was like, you're going to be able to go play the best. So every weekend can be it potentially could be a better venue than we were playing at before. You're playing a better competition. So every weekend is going to matter, and, we are able to play for our conference tournament title this year. So that's huge. So that's what we're keying in on right now in these early season, 3 series before we start conference play, is just let's get ourselves right and ready for conference. And we're still going to try to shoot for a conference championship. It's just we're going to have to hold on to the NCAA. But the other message was, how many of you wanted to play D1 out of high school? Doesn't everybody? Everybody wants to play D1. They wait for the D1 offer, and now we're here, and we got a chance to do it and prove that we belong.
Yeah, awesome. So 14th year on the Heights, leading the squad. Is there something consistently you see with freshmen that you wish they would have learned in high school? Is there something technique-wise, or is it more mental on the knowledge of baseball, game situation stuff that you wish, like your advice right now to maybe an early high school player that potentially could be your recruit someday?
Yeah, one of the biggest things is strength. Hit the weight room, be strong, be physical. That's the biggest difference when a kid comes on campus now they got to play against kids that have been in college for 3 years on a big weight program. And there's a difference. There's a huge difference. So I feel like the kids that come in physically ready have a better chance to play earlier in their careers. As far as, baseball knowledge, there is a little bit of slip on that. The way that youth baseball has turned to is really showcase ball now. So it's, can you hit? Can you run fast? What are your measurables? I like baseball players, like guys that know how to play the game. You usually can tell a kid that's been coached by his dad, when he was young, if his dad was a player, if his dad's a high school coach, they kind of have those intangibles. Intangibles play a big part for me. Being a baseball guy is a big thing, but it's just, you got to teach them. Sometimes you take for granted, what you think they already know. And then when they get on campus, and you might have to break it down for them a little bit more and get back to the fundamentals and knowing what to do in certain situations.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. All right. So now a few questions on your illustrious pro career here. So favorite teammate, and what did they do that you admired and you learned from that you can teach, the players now?
I would probably have to say that there's two of them that kind of stick out to me. Two different organizations. When I was playing for Toronto, it was Roy Halladay. Um, you know, he's a guy, I don't know if you remember,
Yeah.
got to the
Oh
big
yeah.
league superstar, but then had to grind back to the big leagues because he had a hiccup in his mechanics, and he kind of came back down to A ball while I was coming up. We actually played at two stops together then, so I saw him in his the lowest point of his career. And then when we played together in Toronto, he was kind of he was kind of like the big brother. Like, he would talk to you during BP and see how you're doing, and make sure everything's okay. There was one point in my career where they were playing with me to maybe drop my arm angle down, sidearm.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Hey, do you want to do that?" And I was like, "Not particularly, but I want to stay in the big leagues." And he made a good point. He's like, "Listen, if you drop sidearm right now, you're not in the big leagues. They're going to send you back down, and they're going to make sure you can get outs in the minors before you come back." He's like, "You're good enough to pitch in the big leagues the way you throw. If they don't want you, somebody else will." And that kind of stuck to me. And he ended up going on winning his Cy Youngs, having a great career. And I got eventually let go I got traded by the Toronto to taken off the roster that year, traded a year and a half later, and got back to the big leagues with two different teams. So it was like great advice for me, somebody that looked out for me, I guess you could say, in a roundabout way. So I really respected him. His work ethic was second to none. I mean, the guy just worked his butt off, which takes me to the other guy in San Diego, was Trevor Hoffman. I don't know if I've ever seen a guy grind as much as he did to get ready. Like, just every day working his butt off, running, doing work, just totally prepared in every aspect of things. Even in spring training when the pitchers were bunting, like he was locked in. Like, pitchers learn to bunt. Make sure you bunt. This is what we need to do. So just those two guys and the way that they carry themselves kind of stuck with me a lot. And that's why hard work to me is a big thing. I don't want to have to ask guys to work hard. I want them to be able to come in and know that that's what they want to do, and they're going to grind it.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely too. Just Hall of Fame guys there. So I heard you on Jason Grilli's podcast last year, and you talked about the Jason Giambi moment in
Why you got
Toronto.
to bring that up?
It was classic because I remember, and it was just like you said back in the day. There was no MLB network, so when the Yankees were on, all your fans in this area, like, we saw you. We didn't see you strike out the side in Seattle. We saw you versus the Yankees. Could you do me a favor and share that moment?
Yeah, I mean, it's a memory, all right. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
but like you said, we were never televised back then around here, so it was the Yankees only. And I got in against the Yankees, and I come up, and the guys that I had to face were like, it was Soriano, Jeter, Giambi was mixed in there, and I think somebody else was behind them. So I had to face Giambi. And so the first day I try to get him with a fastball, and he takes me right center, like second deck at the Sky Dome. And I'm like, "Oh man, everybody's going to see that." I don't want to hear that stuff. And, so follow it up. I come in later that series. I got to face the same guys. And Giambi's up there, and then said, "All right, well, got me with the fastball. Let me go with the old slider." Took that one deep right center. So 2 at bats, 2 bombs. And I actually faced him a third time. Threw him a changeup, try something different. He smoked the ball to third base. Third baseman jumped up and caught it. So I did get him out once. Everything was hit like 120 miles an hour off the bat. But it's like the only thing anybody ever says to me. Like, "I saw you, Giambi. And then I actually saw him I went to I got married after that year. We went on our honeymoon to Maui, and he rolled into the same restaurant I was in. And I
Yeah.
was like, I should have walked. I didn't go over there to talk to him. I should have told him, like, thanks for trying to help ruin my career.
Yeah. Jeez. Well,
Yeah,
he
it was
did that. Yeah, he did that to a lot of guys for a
yeah, he
lot of
did.
years, no doubt. So I was just randomly, I was in San Diego last week for my day job, and we got to tour Petco Park, which is, phenomenal, great area, the gas lamp district and the seaport there. So it opened in '04. You were there in '05 and '06. Talk about your success in that '06 team. That, NL West Division champs, Bruce Bochy, who just, won another World Series now with a different team, the Rangers. The roster, I looked the roster up the other day. It was phenomenally stacked roster. And your ERA, you did, I mean, 2.4
Yeah.
that year. So that, I mean, just outstanding. Talk about that experience.
Yeah, I think you know where you hit the nail on the head with who you mentioned. It was Bruce Bochy. Like that, he was the best manager I played for, and I think one of the reasons why is he knew his personnel. He knew how to handle a bullpen better than anybody that I've seen, and that to me is one of the biggest things, especially in the National League at that time when pitchers were hitting, so and double switches and whatnot. So we had some really good hitters in that lineup. We had some good pitchers. Our bullpen, outside of Trevor Hoffman, they weren't really huge name guys, but like Scott Linebrink was the setup man. Alan Embry was the left-handed sixth, seventh guy. I kind of fell into that right-handed sixth, seventh guy. And we just Bochy knew when to give us rest, when to get us up, when to not, have us get up and sit down multiple times in the game. And we knew our roles, and we all kind of excelled in them. And I think that's what kind of led to my success that season. Just our team pitched it, and timely hitting. But like when I played the contrast with Toronto, you just never knew when you were going to get in. You could be in the second inning, you could be in the ninth inning. The phone rings, and it was like, who's it going to be? Rather than with the Padres, the phone rang, and you pretty much knew who was going in before the phone rang. So it was a lot more comfortable that year. But we were good. We had a good team that year. In '05 we made the playoffs as well. So we had a good run right there for a little bit.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, and you lost in '06 to the Cardinals that
Yeah.
went on to win it. So do you ever, I mean, what does it mean to you? I said, do you ever like sit back and realize, probably not right now, and as the season just started, but the full circle moment that you have with your playing career, high school, Liverpool, college career at LeMoyne back when it was D1, successful pro career, which included a stop in Syracuse for the Sky Chiefs. You ever, and then you come back and you lead your alma mater, a school that's got such a great baseball tradition and rich culture, and now a new chapter, back to Division I in this new collegiate landscape. What does it mean to you?
Yeah, it's funny. So this past year I was actually fortunate enough to be inducted into the Greater Syracuse Sports Hall of Fame. And that was one of the things where it engulfs my whole career, which goes back to high school and then college and then pro ball and then back to it being as a coach. So I know it's funny, like when I was younger, I wanted to play pro ball. That's all I wanted to do. And then when I was playing pro ball and I knew the career was coming to an end, I thought I wanted to not play or to be in baseball anymore. I thought I wanted to get a real day job, and have weekends off and, be done
Yeah.
at 5, and until I did it. And I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to go back into baseball. And
Yeah.
so I got back into it right away. And as a coach at a junior college for a year, and then Steve
Yeah.
Owens gave me a chance to be on his staff up here. And if I was going to coach, this is where I would always want to be. The timing of things worked out for me. I just got lucky, being on the staff with Steve for a year and then him taking another job. And, to be honest with you, being on staff with him for a year it was one of the biggest things for me. Like was able to learn a lot of stuff from him as a coach and how much I respected him as a coach and what he did. I don't think I would have been prepared if I didn't do that, so it I was lucky. I fell into the right time. Things happen for me, but I love it. Like I love LeMoyne. I love everything about it. I love the kids that we get. We get this same kind of group of hard-nosed kids that like to work, and they don't complain about the cold because that's what we deal with up here. And it's just really enjoyable for me to see from this side of things what we went through, you and I, back in the day when we were players. Now you see it as a coach, and it's like, man, this is what these guys are dealing with. I know what they're dealing with, and there's a lot of it's stress. It's a different ball game nowadays. The kids with mental health stuff, and it's really a big thing. So there's kind of another layer of coaching that you have to do to make sure all your boys and your guys are in good spirits and everything's going well with school, family, classrooms and all that stuff. So, but I enjoy it. I really do.
Yeah. All right. Last question here, the most important question. So I would ask you what your all-time favorite bar is in Syracuse, but I know it's got to be Charlie Roman's Tavern, which isn't around anymore. Good times, good memories at Roman's. But favorite pizza? Let's go.
Oh,
Syracuse area.
favorite pizza is no doubt or Palladino's in Mattydale.
Okay. All right.
That's my
Awesome.
go-to.
I'll have to try that. I haven't tried it. Well, Scott, I appreciate your time as always. Continued success to you and the program. Love to catch up later on this year.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
You got it, Coach. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.